You know what's the number one reason people give up on painting, even though they've spent a non-negligible amount of money to get the right materials? Same reason people give up on guitar, knitting, or pottery. They get discouraged by early failures and lose motivation. To kickstart any new passion, getting some early wins is crucial. So in this video, this is what you'll be getting. I'm going to give you 5 oil painting exercises you can't possibly fail. This exercise will help you master fundamental techniques and also reach early rewards to boost your motivation going forward. So let's dive in. One of the foundations of oil painting is understanding values. So this is what we're going to start with, the value scale. It's a classic, a pretty common exercise that a lot of people overlook because of its simplicity maybe, but it would be a shame to pass on this one because so much can be learned in a couple of minutes and it's impossible to fail. It doesn't even require a canvas, it's a palette-only exercise, so that's perfect. It takes you through the process of creating a value scale, which will help you understand the range from light to dark, which is absolutely crucial in figurative painting. Value is the core of figurative painting because it's with value that the illusion of form can be created. The value scale helps to understand how to mix the range of colors from light to dark accurately and how to achieve smooth transitions in your paintings. So grab some titanium white, raw umber and ivory black and let's get started with this fail-proof exercise. Basically, we want to achieve this. Step 1, put some white on the right side, then start with your lightest shade and gradually darken the value as you move across the palette. You can readjust as you go. Try to balance raw umber and ivory black to get a balanced gray, not too cool, not too warm. Step 2, continue creating your 9 steps, very evenly distributed in value. And you can come back to previous ones if needed, you can readjust. The only thing, it has to be very uniform and even. Step 3, pause this video and compare your scale to this. If it's not right, then make the corrections. You want to finish with pure black with a mix of ivory black and raw umber. Step 4, after you're done with the scale, softly blend the neighboring values directly on the palette until it looks seamless. And voila, you've just mastered the value scale, an essential tool in your painting toolkit. Before we move on, a quick reminder, if you need help getting started and need more techniques, you can check out my oil painting course in the description below. It's designed like an encyclopedia of oil painting, with plenty of tips and detailed demonstrations. If you're a beginner and want to have a good start, this course can help you a lot for sure. Exercise 2. Painting a sphere convincingly is a valuable skill for any artist. It's a step up from the previous exercise, but also a continuation. Don't think that it's too easy for you. It's actually quite tricky to paint a sphere because this shape is so even and perfectly round. It's too geometric, it's so soft and abstract. And to be honest, this one is not really fail-proof, but even if your sphere doesn't look right, in the end you can still learn a lot from your mistakes, so that's still a win in my book. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't look right. The actual point of this exercise is to put the value scale to use and create a gradient on an actual shape, an actual thing, to create an impression of volume. This exercise will enhance your understanding of form, shading, and blending techniques, resulting hopefully in more realistic and lifelike paintings later on. So here's how to do it. Start by outlining the sphere using a black colored pencil, then gently draw the edge of the shadow without making it sharp, just to remember the position. Use the value scale that we've created in our previous exercises, and if you're not doing them in a row, just mix a value scale again. Start with the darkest dark and try to paint as soft as you can. Next, focus on capturing the 3-dimensionality of the form. Observe the light source, where does it come from, and identify areas of highlights and shadows. Gradually build up the layer of paint, paying close attention to the values and the shading. Remember, blending is key here to achieve a smooth and realistic sphere. You want to use a soft brush to softly blend the colors together. enhance the highlights to make them pop, and refine the shadows to create depth. Don't forget to pay attention to the reflected light, and also pay attention to the very subtle color variations on the surface of the sphere. As you work, take a habit to step back and assess your progress and make the corrections that are needed. Make any necessary adjustments to ensure the accuracy and the realistic look of the sphere. Remember, practice makes perfect, and you can't fail this one, because if it doesn't turn out the way you wanted, you can always learn something new and start again the next day. Number 3, simple plaster cast. This next exercise is another classic that's been used to train generations of artists, the plaster cast. For this one, you want a relatively simple cast though. In this one, as you can see, I'm painting a head fragment that a friend of mine actually created himself with alginate and plaster from his own face. If you find this too hard, you can find isolated features like just an eye, just a nose, just an ear, or small size casts. If you're in the US, you can check out Justin from Fountainhead Gypsoteca. He has really good prices. You can tell him I say hi. If you're in Europe, if you're in France, you can check out Atelier Lorenzi, which is where I get most of my casts. But actually, shipping might be super expensive because these weigh a lot. So always be on the lookout for old sculptures, reproductions at flea markets and online. The easiest option might be to mold your own hand or your face with alginate and plaster. This is really not that hard. Even if you mess up, you can still have an interesting shape that you can always use for your paintings. You can also mold objects. It's really not that hard, and you can find plenty of tutorials on YouTube. Otherwise, any white object with an interesting shape can work, like a teapot or something, or any object that you can paint in white, like this one, just painting it white, and it works the same. And I know what you might be thinking, seeing this cast, you think, of course it's difficult, and it can end up being a fail, so what am I even saying? Well, believe it or not, but I don't think that a cast of a face or a hand is really that much more difficult than a sphere to paint. Sure, the drawing part, the proportion stuff, this is the hard part. And I don't think that doing it like this with the side size technique is easy, but you can also use a trick if you want to outline your model and just get rid of the headache. You can take a photo and print it, and trace the outline on your canvas with tracing paper and transfer it. And this way you won't have to worry about the actual most difficult part, and you'll focus on painting only and values only. Anyway, place your cast in a black box to create dynamic shadows and highlights. So you start either by blocking the outline with the side size technique, or you draw it separately and transfer, like I said earlier, still with the same paint and brushes that we used for the value scale and the sphere in our previous exercise. Start with the darkest dark, always observe the light source and carefully paint the shadows using a range of values to create a sense of volume. Compare the value area by area and go slowly. Don't be afraid to experiment with warm and cool. Warm is raw umber and cool is ivory black. I've got another fail-proof painting exercise for you, the color matching exercise. Start by selecting a reference color that you want to replicate and put a piece of glass on top. Begin by analyzing the colors in your reference. Observe the hue, value, and chroma. You're going to mix in this order: HVC, hue, value, chroma, hey, voluptuous color. That's my trick to remember it. In fact, you could be mixing every color with this HVC method, hue, value, chroma, in this order. It's always going to simplify your mixing. All right, so let's imagine that we have to mix this blue piece of drapery here. The first thing to do is to find a couple of candidate pigments. Pick the pigments that's the closest to the target color. If needed, you can check the color wheel to research what the best pigment might be for this mix. With pigments, you always need to try first and see how they react. Specifically, you can mix them with white to see what their undertones really are. There can be a huge difference between what the theory predicts and the result that the real pigments produce when mixed. Since we use the glass surface trick, you can make a small test sample, lay it down in the model if you want. That's the great thing about this technique. So first, hue. I mix ultramarine blue and white, but I see that it tends too much towards the purple side. So here I just check with my palette knife and it seems quite obvious to me. But if you're not sure, take the time to apply a test stroke on the picture. So to pull it more towards the cyan and green side, I mix it with a small touch of yellow ochre. Here, as you can see, I was a little too strong on the yellow side, so I compensate again with more ultramarine blue. And this is how you navigate the color space, using the color wheel if needed. You pull towards one side, but if you add too much, then you compensate and balance again. And with trial and error, with subtle adjustments, you can create a hue that's just exactly what you need. Once I'm done with hue, I can make the highlights and shadows. So I add ivory black and I mix it with blue and a touch of red ochre here to obtain those darker shades in the shadows. Just keep in mind that for shadows, I don't only use black, I adjust with the other pigments and try to keep the character of the shadows. The final thing to adjust is the chroma. During mixing, the chroma can go out of control, so it's important to check that your color hasn't become dull as a result of too much mixing. Placing it on your model is the best way to check that. So that's the exercise. With the glass surface trick, you can use trial and error and improve your mixing skills significantly, and you can't fail. With good theory and a proper trial and error strategy, this exercise can make color mixing much easier for you. Final exercise that you can't possibly fail, the colored ribbon. This one uses most of the techniques that we've seen so far, so if you've managed to come this far, it will be a piece of cake, or not, but it's not a fail if you learn from your failures, right? So here's the exercise. Choose a ribbon with bright contrasting colors, or simply cut a slice of colored paper and twist it to get some volume. Stick it to the back of your black box. Start by sketching the basic outline of the ribbon with a colored pencil directly on your canvas and start painting the black background. Now create a colored value scale using the skills we worked on in our previous exercises. Check your color against the model with your palette knife or put it behind the glass. You can try to mix 9 steps for your value scale, but it's not necessary here. Pick any number that you find useful between 3 and 9. Remember that the most chromatic part of the scale is the local color here. Begin by blocking the base color of the ribbon, working from dark to light. Use soft strokes of paint to build the painting slowly with a precise touch. Use transparency and depth. Pay attention to the twists and turns, capturing the graceful movement. Take your time really. And as you progress, observe the subtle variations in color along the ribbon surface, mix and apply different shades, blending them seamlessly to capture the folds and the highlights. And don't forget to pay attention to the play of light and shadow, of course. Add highlights to make the ribbon appear more three-dimensional, and deepen the shadows for more contrast. And continue refining your painting, layering colors and adjusting values until you achieve the desired level of realism. Remember, practice is key, so don't be afraid to experiment and explore your unique style. With dedication and perseverance, you'll continue to grow as an artist. And these exercises are fail-proof because you can't fail if you just do something and learn from everything. Be persistent. Oil painting is easy if you take it easy, if you take it slow, and increase the complexity of your projects just very progressively. If you want another great exercise that you can try next, you can click here. Again, a huge thank you to everyone supporting me on Patreon. This video wouldn't be possible without your support. If you want to join the community, link is in the description below. You'll also find the links to both my courses, my oil painting course and my color course. All right, that's it for today, my friends. And as always, joy and inspiration to you. Bye.